Susie, an ill-prepared career change can absolutely destroy a marriage.
I feel like you're talking from experience right now.
I definitely am.
OMG. I can't wait to hear this story. What's been new? What's been new? What's going on?
What's been new with me? I guess I don't know. This whole episode's about career change. So, what's been new with me is that I had a career change, and now I'm experiencing this whole new part of life that has completely changed everything of who I am as a person in a good way.
Yeah, I know. I was going to check in with you with that. How are you doing after how many years were you at 94.5?
Um, I think in total because for my first run, I was there for 15 years.
Yeah.
And then I got let go in 2015 because of some contractual BS that had nothing to do with me.
Yep.
And then I was away for like 4 years and I came back in 2019. So this last run that I was on, give or take, was 6, 7 years.
6, 7 years.
But
That's
in
a
all
long time.
it is, and altogether, it's like 20 something years. So I started my first day of my internship when we were back in college was June 5th of 2000. So I've been pretty much in the business and spent most of my time there.
Was that because at Endicott they had us doing internships every January, and
Yeah.
then our senior year we had the semester long internship. So which internship was this that you were at Jammin?
This was I'm not me that this was all of them.
All of them. You did
Yes, because
all 4 internships at Jammin?
I did. Now, to add some context to the people who don't understand, our college that we went to was Endicott, and they made us do internships. Correct me
Mhm.
if I'm wrong. It was 3 out of the 4 years that you were there, and it ended off with a semester long one. So you weren't going to class. You were essentially doing a full time job at an internship for a semester and getting
Yes,
credit for that.
that's right.
So, but part of the rules of that was that you could not do the same internship at the same place.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Or
So
maybe I did, I just forgot. I mean, it was a long time ago.
yeah, and like I guess the idea is that they wanted you to experience other places,
Mhm.
which I understand. But I
Yeah.
disagree with that from the beginning. But then also, I felt like I was on this really amazing track with them. So when I did my first internship there, it was for the summer, and I loved it. I feel like I flourished there. They asked me to come back, and I'm like, how am I going to pass up this opportunity? So what I ended up doing is kind of flubbing the paperwork in a sense where I filled it in that I was doing it at another radio station. Then I got them to agree if I did it at another department. But essentially, I was staying there the entire time, and then also continuing there when the internship ended. So I was interning for like 4 years straight, like even when I wasn't getting college credit. But then I finagled it to kind of stay
Wow.
there. Yeah. So,
Wow.
and
I love that. I
that's
love the
where
sorry, go ahead.
no one just
You're
that's where that story started.
Okay, wow. I love that like you fudged paperwork so you can go back.
Yeah, I just didn't understand like the whole thing. Well, no, I'm
Just
sorry. I understood it, but if something's going good for somebody, especially at an internship at that point in your career in college, like the point is to get a job when you graduate it, right? So I
yeah.
got a sense that that was going to happen.
Mhm.
So I'm like, why am I going to leave now and like essentially lose my place just to go get experience at somebody else because my college wants me to? So I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not losing this
Right.
opportunity.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so now that that part of your career is behind you, how do you feel? Like, how is life after jamming?
It's been the best experience. It's been the best decision professionally I've ever made. And I say this a month into my different life. And
Mhm.
yeah, and listen, I was holding on for way too long. I was very afraid to make the leap to do a career change, to quit a job, something that I've only ever known. But on the other end of things, oh my God, has it been life changing? I feel like I'm a different person. I feel like I'm adding more value to my own life. I feel valued in life, and I just feel like I'm a much better husband and dad, like, all around.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
now I don't wanna say,
Wow.
like, I should have made the decision years ago, but I should have made the decision years ago, but I wasn't ready to make the decision, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, there's so much when you're making, I think there's a lot more at stake for you than there is for me, right? I have no kids. you have a whole, like, you have a family that you need to think about when you make these decisions. So I can see why it took you so long. I feel like it would take me, it does take me that, like,
Yeah.
a long time to make really strong career decisions, and I don't even have kids. Like, if
Yeah,
I
but you know
had,
what?
you know.
But I not that I wasn't thinking about the kids, because I really wasn't thinking about the kids. Like that probably came down the line.
Okay.
My whole thing was like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna be successful in anything else? Like,
Well,
what if it doesn't work out? Like all these things, and fear was handcuffing me in that initial decision before I even got to the thought about like all the kids. So
okay.
so yeah, so did I have maybe like a different different responsibilities on the line? Probably, but it wasn't even about that. Now, when I look at your career and the changes that you've been able to make and moving coast to coast and just how like you look at certain things, like I was never like that. Like that it's so impressive to me to know that had you've been in the same career field in the entertainment, but you've had multiple jobs, and like that's been really impressive to me where like now you're moving across country for something else, and like I was so handcuffed by fear.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have a choice really, because when you're hosting, like, there are very few jobs where it's ongoing, right? Like, I
Yeah.
started at MTV as a VJ on TRL, and that was ongoing, right? And I did that for 2.5 years. I probably could have renewed my contract if I wanted to and stay a little longer until TRL's end. But I was anxious to get back to LA. And so then I got back to LA and I realized, like, wow, like, the only hosting jobs that are ongoing, meaning there aren't seasons. So that's what I was doing, right? So
Yeah.
yes, I had some great opportunities after MTV in hosting where, I hosted a show called School Pride on NBC, and it was supposed to be the next like big renovation show that we were all hoping, fingers crossed, that it would go for years and years, and it only lasted one season. So there was a lot of, like, you hosted something for a season, then it was over, and then it was like, okay, we got to wait till it airs to see if the ratings are high enough
Yeah.
to for it to get picked up for a season 2, right? So there was a lot of that. And then when the show didn't get, I had like probably 3 shows that unfortunately did not go beyond season 1. So I was hired to host the show, and it only lasted 1 season. And
Oh,
then when you hear the news that it's getting picked up, then you're like, damn it, okay, back to square one. Meeting new producers and people that are, showrunners. Um, the only hosting jobs that are ongoing are in radio, like you had, or things like Access Hollywood or
mm,
Extra, right? Like those shows. But that was a different beast. Those shows, and when I was in LA, they were like, it was news, right? It was
yeah.
entertainment news, but it was news, which was different from what I was doing, right? Like, I was doing interviews, and there was no like red carpet. One of the first things that I did after MTV was, um, I got hired by, I think it was The Insider. I don't know if you remember that
I
show,
do
but
remember that. Yes,
you remember
yes,
The Insider?
yep.
So, the producer really loved me, and he actually went over. The Insider and Entertainment Tonight were under like the CBS umbrella,
Mhm.
so it was the same producer for both shows, and so he hired me to be a correspondent, like, on both. And I flip flopped. I would go like from The Insider, and I covered whatever show for them, Grammys or whatever, and then on Entertainment Tonight they'd have me covering some other, like, movie premiere or something like that. And and it was so awkward for me, like the red carpet culture of like hosting on the red carpet. There's a lot of you have to just kind of be pushy about your interviews. Like, if you see a celebrity coming, that you have to just yell out their name and be like, "Hey, Entertainment Tonight, like, come over here and talk to me." And I
Yeah,
hated that. I
yeah.
hated that. There was like an ickiness about, and like a desperation to it, that I really hated. So it was hard for me to find like my footing after after MTV. I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't like doing the entertainment news part.
It's interesting because for most people, these are maybe dream jobs that a lot of people would want to have. I think that perspective comes from the without understanding that it is a job in many aspects of it too. Like, is it glitzy? Is it sexy from the outside? Is it cool? Like, absolutely. But there are elements of it that don't really feel really good. And I
Yeah.
think at the end of my run, I started to think about all these things. I started to think about that. I was like, I was well into my 40s now. I'm 45, and I'm having certain conversations that I really wasn't thrilled about that I felt like I don't want to say it. I'm going to say it like this, but I don't mean it as harsh as it is. I was having dumb conversations about stupid shit.
Yeah.
And like, not to disrespect the conversation that I was having, but I wanted to go deeper into who I was as a person and my feelings and perspectives on stuff like this, like marriages and like really like smarter things.
Uh-huh.
And I was having fun with what I was doing, but then also like there was an element of value that I wasn't getting from the job, right? I felt like I was 45. I felt like I still had a lot to offer and a lot to give, and I
Mhm.
wasn't getting anything back in return. When it came time for contracts, I was like, what's my future here? I feel like I've hit the ceiling here. Where else do you guys see me going? Where else do you see the industry? And the answers I was getting back weren't fulfilling me. I didn't feel valued. I feel like I was expendable by that point, but I wasn't ready to give up on like challenging myself and having smarter conversations and creatively doing different things.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about that like a year and a half ago. And then last year around this time, the conversation really started to kick up in my mind because we started talking about contracts. And then, like, I went on vacation August of last year. And by the second day of vacation, and specifically wanted to get away from work and take
Uh,
time away
mhm.
and really think about, is this it and what's that look like and what do I want from life? And the second day on vacation, I had that decision made. I'm like, and I told my wife, I go, yeah, like I'm going to leave. And I don't think she believed me because I had been at this point a couple of times before. I had said
Oh,
these things to myself in the past. And again, going back to the fear thing, I was fearful. I wasn't ready. I would say them out loud, but I knew deep down in my soul I wasn't ready. But second day on vacation, I'm like, I'm not resigning. I am leaving. When I get back, I'm gonna tell them.
what happened on day 2 of vacation?
Here's what it was. And for full context, I was in Paris
Uh-huh.
and I two things. I said, I want the flexibility and freedom to do this whenever I want if I choose to. And I know that's really difficult to do, especially when you with work with for companies and this and that. But at the same time, I was had this plan of starting my own business.
Yeah.
And it's something I had started in the past that was going well. So my plan was to go all in on that. Now, if that worked out the way that I foresaw it, I would have the freedom to travel whenever I wanted and essentially could work from anywhere. So it was that. And then also feeling this feeling of like I am here with my family. Um, but traditionally, I had never been able to make the decision to go traveling by myself, like without coordinating this with a co host and coordinating this with a radio station. Then I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was just like, it was time, and I wanted to make more money too, and that was another thing. I was
Mhm.
like, not that uh, the what I was making was good, but I felt handcuffed. I felt limited. I felt like I'd taken a couple of steps back in the last couple of years because the industry wasn't where it had been in the past. So I
Uh-huh.
was like, I feel like I hit my peak and I want to keep going. I want to keep pushing. But the freedom thing was a major decision. And that's that feeling that I felt on the second day there.
Yeah. Oh, Paris will do that to you.
Yeah,
It's
there was
like
some, you're walking down the streets and the Eiffel Tower's there, and the Eiffel Tower saying, quit your job and come here more often.
you're like, "It's happening. I'm gonna quit my job."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's incredible. What an incredible feeling to have. And so, but Joanne didn't believe you, you said.
She
Why didn't
didn't
she believe you?
she didn't believe me because what are we in 2026? I mean, I have
Mm.
had these listen, I got fired in 2015 from the industry, and the industry didn't want me at all. So
That is
there
hard to believe, Santi. How can they? What?
the radio, well, I mean, the entertainment like industry, sometimes you feel like you're on top of the world and you're loved, and the next thing you know, your bosses are walking you out the door, and it's not great.
So true.
So that happened.
So true.
And I think I went through a couple of years of like rediscovering who I was creatively and what I want to do with my career. But then 2019 came back around and I went back to jamming. Now, I went back to jamming with a lot of baggage because I walked back into a place that I got fired from. So every time I was on the radio, I was paranoid that I was going to say something wrong. I was going to get fired again. So I built up, like, all of a sudden, I was super anxious. I wasn't sleeping. At that moment, I was like, I'm going to quit radio. I'm going to quit media. I'm going to get out of everything. And not many people know this. I called my mother in law because she used to sell mortgages. And I'm like, I'm gonna sell mortgages now. I'm getting out of entertainment. I'm getting out of radio. I'm getting out of it all. I just don't want to do it like anymore. I almost felt like mentally was burnt out from everything. And I started the
Yeah.
process of selling mortgages, taking the classes, met with a few companies that were like, listen, we'll hire you on board once you get your license, like all this stuff. I went through the process of that. But in that process, towards the end of it, I'm like, I'm lying to myself. I am going to miss doing this. I am going to
Oh.
miss all of it. So I went back. I mean, I was back at jamming at that point. And I just kind of worked through all my challenges. I started seeing a therapist at that point, and the therapy changed everything for me. I was able to get a handle of on my anxiety. I was able to see things clearly. I was able to like leave all that emotional baggage that I came back with, like at the door. And then I got into the rhythm and I got into the mindset of just being myself as much as possible. And once I started to do that, I became a different person on the air, with media, with everything. And then I just kind of like started seeing things differently. And then I started that company and it's kind of flourished. But long story short, within that moment, there were so many parts when I told her that I was going to quit and I wanted to leave, and she was pushing me out the door, telling me, like, listen, I have your back. I remember one time at a soccer game, I was down in the dumps and she was like, "Just quit. We are gonna be fine. We have enough financial backing for however long. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it." And I was still handcuffed by fear, handcuffed by change. So that is why she didn't believe that I was going to quit. Even up until like a month before they were trying to get me to get back, she was nervous that I was going to go back in there. Now, that being said, if I would have stayed or stayed for like another year, I don't think my marriage would have been in a positive place. We wouldn't have been divorced, but right now we probably would have been having she wouldn't be happy because she knew that place in this part of my life had evolved into something else and
Mm.
that it probably would not have been the best for me.
Man, so the career was affecting your
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah, it definitely was, and there were parts I mean, yes, because she saw what it was doing to me. She saw that it wasn't positive. She saw that I'd taken a step back and also too that schedule that I was getting up at 3:45 in the morning, and that is not healthy. It's not great. You really don't have much of a life in the sense of like, yeah, I was home by 11 o'clock like every day,
Well,
but on the other end of things, I was always tired. I wasn't flexible with my schedule. I wouldn't go out to dinner past 7 o'clock on I wouldn't go to dinner on a weeknight. That's crazy talk.
sure.
Now, if it's Sunday night and we're going to dinner, it has to be at 5 because we can't go at 7. That's crazy.
Right.
I was always looking at my watch. I was always tired. I was always falling asleep. So
Oh my god.
the job definitely had a negative impact on my life for and like in cycles. But yeah, it wasn't positive at times.
That is a hard schedule to keep. Like,
Yeah.
that is really hard, and I don't know, I honestly like, I don't know how you did it for so long with your kids, because then so this whole time, school drop off is on Joanne's lap, right? She can't count on you for help because you're at
Yeah.
the radio station,
Yeah.
and also pretty far away from home,
Yeah.
Boston, so you had to commute.
Yeah. It was an hour commute.
It was an hour, and at 3 in the morning, there was no traffic, so an
There's
hour
none.
with no traffic. So, I can imagine kids get sick, school calls, you gotta pick up your kid, he has a fever. You that can't be you.
No,
You're on a live show.
it was actually worse than that. It was almost like our lives revolved around my schedule and my career,
Sure.
which wasn't fair to my wife.
Yeah.
And yeah, so when the kids got sick, I was never around for that. I have to go to work. If there's a snowstorm, I have to be at work. So I have to find a way to get there or stay in a hotel room. There was one time where we had bad snowstorms for like 4 weeks here.
Oop.
but there was one that was 30 like inches plus. So I was stuck in a hotel for like 3 days while my whole family is at home,
Oh my
stuck in a
god.
house. But that was it. That was always like just the understanding and and the assumption on my part that like, well, this is more important than anything else. So I put it ahead of a lot of things in life that it should not have been should not have been ahead of. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So
But how lovely though. Oh, so not everyone out of fear, whether it's financial fear or whatever, like what if you don't make money, right? I mean, here
yeah.
you were leaving a good job, paying you well, and just to put all the eggs in the Santi basket. And Joanne was like your biggest cheerleader
Oh my
and
God.
was,
Yeah. If it
supporting you that way.
She definitely was. Like, it was really huge, and she was especially towards the end because she knew, like, for the past year, she knew how where my mind was. She knew that I could be really successful with this company that I was building.
Oh,
But also the way she supported me, the way she had my back made the transition and made that leap so much easier. And like I knew whatever happened if I didn't make any, like any other money from this point on or anything, her having my back made everything like feel so special. I felt more confident. I felt like, all right, well I can do this if she believes in me. And also to give more context to my wife, she's not really the she's not the nicest person sometimes when it comes to situations like this. Sometimes she gives me the tough love, and she gave me the tough love and basically was like, "Listen, you need to do this
Joanne.
now. Yeah, you need to do this now or you're never going to do it because also your career path that you're on at the other place isn't going to it's not going to lead to anything." But she supported me and I think it made the decision a lot easier. I didn't know, not that I think it made the decision so much better and like it made it,
Yeah.
yeah, it was truly amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so I love, it's so funny. I feel like we're living parallel lives right now because I just recently gave Matt some tough love about a career change
Okay.
situation and I I just felt like he needed it, and it was like it b- I think it's the years, right? Like when you're with someone for as long with our partners like we have been
Mhm.
for over 20 years, um it's either that or my perimenopause soul right now that you know what I mean? Like my bandwidth for shit is like, no,
Yeah.
like please don't talk to me about bullshit right now. Like, let's be real and like just fucking do what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? And I had a moment like that with Matt. And then, of course, immediately texted him, I'm so sorry.
Uh,
I should not have yelled. But, but, we're I feel like it's two things, right? The short fuse at this point in my life, and then also, um, I learned a big lesson recently with work regarding speaking up and curving my people pleasing ways,
mm,
which maybe you had a little bit of that at Jammin, and
absolutely.
especially with that was probably part of the baggage that you brought with you when you went
Yes.
back there for a second time, right? It's like you didn't want to get fired again and all of that stuff. And it's like I saw Matt slipping into that trap that I had just come out of recently, And
Mhm.
so I'm like, and it was a thing, Santi, where I was afraid to speak up at work about something. And I know it would have, if I spoke up and the answer was yes, it would make my life and therefore Matt's life as well, our married life together better. And it took me months. It took me months, to as it took you. How long did you say? Like a
Years.
year,
Years.
years?
Yeah.
Oh, I
To
was gonna
make the
say
decision and to do all this stuff and to man up. Yeah.
to just do it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes us so long, and I think that's I don't know. I'm wondering what your biggest lesson in this journey has been for you because mine has been to speak up sooner is what I
Yeah.
learned. Because I spoke
Well,
up and they were stoked about it. You know what I'm saying? Like work was like, oh yeah, like I love that for you. Let's do that. That would be great. That would be great for you. It would be great for us as a company. So like let's move forward, And so I wonder if were you met with that kind of enthusiasm?
well, the minute that I spoke up and let them know how I was feeling and what my decision was, the power dynamic of everything completely changed. Not that I was seeking that, but I
Mhm.
felt that instantly. And then
The
all of a
shift.
sudden, yes, I was being valued. And not that I need to be told that I'm doing a good job and that I matter, but sometimes that goes a long way, especially where you haven't been getting that from a company for so long. So the minute I spoke up, the power dynamic changed and it changed everything. And I got a sense of confidence from that, but not in a sense that I was gonna like all of a sudden, like I think I'm the man. It wasn't that it. I got more so that sometimes speaking up leads to some positive things. And on the other end of things, it can lead you to another step in life down the path of where you're trying to go. And that's what I got. I'm like, okay, so from now on, if I feel something, I'm gonna respectfully say it in a way that gets my point across without pissing anybody off. But I am going to speak up from this point on because I didn't speak up for so long. And then like I was in this position of like feeling like shit all the time. So the minute that
Yeah.
I did, I'm like, wow, it's interesting. So the people pleasing, I definitely have been a victim of that for a lot of years, especially in the past. But and not that I'm gonna completely stop that, but it's something that I am working hard on because I realize that I just need to change the perspective and the framing of what I'm doing,
Uh-huh.
and just speaking up and having great conversations with people can go such a long way. But the moment I spoke up, changed everything.
Awesome feeling, right? And
Yes.
yes, and that's ultimately like on the phone with Matt. That's what I like yelled at him about because it was like a moment of like shaking him,
Yeah.
because he was afraid of pissing people off. And I'm like, but but the reality is that they need you, which is why they're offering him a job. And he but he has all these other commitments because Matt's been working as a freelance writer for a really long time. I mean, his entire career, right? Like
Mhm.
he's directed a film, he's produced, he's helped to cast the films that he's been a part of. And but that's been He's done commercial writing. So he's working on like he's always working on multiple projects at the same time. Um, and it's good and it's bad. The good part, he's his own boss. He doesn't have anybody to report to, right?
Mhm.
The bad is sometimes he's afraid to say no to work
Mhm.
because he thinks, oh, if I say no to this person, they're not going to call. They might find someone else. If I tell them I'm too busy, like we got to wait. So he was fearful. He wants this job because it's a really cool step in the right direction of what's happening in the entertainment industry, like in films. Um, but he can't start right away because he was afraid that by him saying like, "Hey, I can't start for I don't know." I was like, "Just tell him whatever you need. I don't know what your schedule is like. I don't know what all your projects are, but you have prior commitments." And Matt has been working so hard and I can see the meltdown coming. And
Uh,
I, and I'm like, "You can't do this to yourself." I'm like, "You have to prioritize like there's no work life balance. And when there's no
oh,
work
really?
life balance, like it was creeping into like for you, how it crept into your marriage,
Yep.
your life at home, the same thing is I see happening with Matt. And he calls me and he's telling me how how inundated, how he feels like he's underwater. And I'm like, I can see that you're underwater. Like, so what are you gonna do about it? Right? Like, let's not complain about something if
Mhm.
we don't have action items.
Yeah.
So I was like, what's your action item? Let's talk about that, right? I get how you're feeling. And he was super afraid. And, it turned into a fight because I was like trying to shake him out of out of the fear. It
Yeah.
comes from a place of love,
Yeah.
husbands.
No.
All the husbands listening.
Yes. And you know what's crazy about that? It took me so many years for me to understand that. It took me going to see a
Yeah.
therapist now for 6 years for me to understand that those conversations come from a place of love, but that
Yeah.
you guys are basically the people who were like, I like listen, you guys spend the most amount of time with us. You're our best friends and all these elements that I had to take a step back, check my ego at the door. And when my wife comes to me with something, now it's anything. I have to put value in it no matter what it is. Even if I know she's wrong, taking a step back and looking at it from her perspective, because she's my wife, I need to give her that respect. Now, when it comes to tough love, you guys You guys know us more than ourselves. You guys know our faults. You know what our fears and everything like that.
Yeah.
So from that perspective,
Well, that's where the 20 plus years comes from, right?
yes,
It's like
yes. So now I get it. Now I
we're not
understand.
newlyweds.
No, but for so many years I didn't understand that that tough love comes from a good place.
I know.
How it was did he accept the tough love well after the fight? Was there a conversation about like, hey, you were right or anything like that?
So I got a text.
The way you're saying it, you're like, yeah.
Baby. Okay, so I got a text after and he was like, just had the convo, it went well. And I'm like, of course it's gonna go well
Yeah.
because they need you, A. It's two, it B. Look at me. I'm like, A, two. Oh my God. Um, they need him because there's a lot of work to be done, which is why they're so anxious for him to start full time yesterday,
Mhm.
but he has these other commitments. I'm like, look, it's not like you're asking for months off because you're taking a sabbatical around the world. I'm like, you have other commitments that are work commitments that you have that are legit, by the way. Like he's got a screenplay that he wrote that's being developed at a studio that like and they're expecting rewrites on this on the script. There's a director attached, it's like they're important projects for his career.
Mhm.
So I said, let them know what you have going on, and he did. And I said, and obviously, you want to be there, you are accepting the job, you just can't start when they want you to start, right? So just have the open conversation and communication
Yeah.
that we had in our marriage. I said, this is just another relationship,
Yeah.
because he's like, he was like, well, do I need to tell people like what's going on, like other things that are going on? He's like, is it their business? Like, this is like my private like career or whatever. And I was like, yeah, but no. I'm like, I get what you're saying, but you can't keep things from me that are important
Mm.
and you can't keep things that are important from your employer either,
Yeah.
your future, employer. He's been working like freelance for this company for, I mean, almost a year now, And so it went well, Santi. The
Good.
conversation went well. He's like, he said he told him, and of course he was scared when he walked in the office. But he had the conversation with the right person, and they were like, "Oh yeah, man, absolutely." Like, so when do you think you could start? And then he told them. I was like, "Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what you do. Like you just have to communicate. That's all."
I
But I think that the correlation, like the what I mentioned, that he has to communicate with them the same way he communicates with me because
mm,
it's just another relationship. Like I think that really resonated.
yeah. I mean, when in that perspective, when if I were to hear it like that would make total sense. But yeah, I mean, I do hear it. Like I've experienced that with like, oh, I don't want to ask for this. I don't want to send this email out because what if they get pissed? I need to change the tone of this so it comes off as nice. And
Yes.
I think I overthought that for so many years, and I'm
Mhm.
done. I'm done doing that too. So yeah,
People pleasing. Oh my God.
yeah,
That's a whole other episode
right. Um,
for sure.
Geez, now I'm thinking about all the times I people please that I shouldn't. Going back to the past, I should not have. But yeah. So when it comes to career changes, I got to imagine for a lot of people, it really doesn't go down the positive end of things. I think we're all in, and we're both in supportive places where 20 years in, we've experienced like enough career change on certain elements of things where it's like the support there is super important. But I know people who are still stuck in these awful jobs because their partner is like used to their comfortable life and whatever it is without thinking about the happiness of their partner, that they're still in that. So
Yeah.
the thought of career change is like handcuffing them from another perspective because they think that they leave their job, they're not going to have a wife or a husband or anything like that, which is really tough to like stomach, especially
Mm.
now being on the other end of things where realizing that the happiness that I'm feeling now, I don't care where it goes from this point on, I will never trade this for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So now that you're on the other side, what's like your biggest piece of advice for someone? I mean, we're lucky, both of us, that we have supportive partners, but if somebody has a partner who's not supportive.
You know, there was a time when Listen, my wife has made more money than I have for a long time, but there was a
Mm.
time where I didn't want her to leave her job because it was good for all of us.
Yeah.
Even though I know that maybe her happiness wasn't in the most positive place. Looking back now, I'm like, damn, you're such an idiot. Why would those thoughts even go through your mind? But I was being selfish about everything.
See.
One, don't be selfish about anything because your partner's happiness is so important. This also brings me back to last summer where my wife took a new job
Mhm.
and day one, she came home and I was so excited for her because I knew she needed to get out of this other job she was at. Takes this new job at a company. Now she has to go into an office 3 or 4 days a week. She comes home the first day and she's in tears. Like
Hmm.
literally like a movie. First day on the job, she comes home and she's in tears. I'm like,
That's
what
awful.
happened? And I was so excited to hear, oh my God, this place was awesome. I love it. It's gonna be good. That wasn't but that was not the case. I was like, I felt so bad. I felt like, oh my God, my heart was broken for her. And that day I told her, then just quit. Whatever happens, we'll figure this thing out. Your happiness needs to be more important than anything because if you aren't happy, then that affects me. And I'm not in like a selfish way, but I'm like, now I'm super concerned for you. Then that affects the entire family. Like your happiness needs to be at the forefront of this. And I begged her to quit her job. She didn't, but she only lasted 2 months. She ended up calling somebody else who she knew and now is in a much better situation. But my one thing, be supportive and think about their happiness and do not be selfish with anything on your end of things like I was. I was an idiot.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
boo,
Yeah.
Santi.
Yeah. But hey, the good thing is that I realized how bad not I won't say I was a bad husband, but
Yeah.
I really missed the mark on a lot of things and I am well aware of them now,
Yeah.
but now I try to make up for all of that. But that was one of the moments where I'm like, yeah, you weren't in a good place and you weren't supporting her at all. I remember
Yeah.
feeling like, no, but like we won't be able to go on vacation. Like,
Yeah.
no, you can't quit that job. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's so
So
it's such a tricky balance, you know? It's and it's such an important part of having a successful marriage because we spend so much time at work.
yeah.
It's I mean so much time, right? And I mean often more time at work than with our loved ones, you know, than at home. Like during the waking hours anyway,
Yeah.
and it's if you're unhappy in your career, and you're not doing anything about it, it's gonna eat away at you slowly, and then that's gonna change your entire life, including your home life.
Yeah. I think in my darkest times when I was going through my anxiety and all this stuff, I was definitely depressed. But I remember, and I say this to people like all the time, I lost multiple vacations to that job because I would go on vacation for 2 weeks and I wasn't relaxing. I was thinking about
Oh,
work. I was thinking about, oh, I have 2 weeks left to go back. Oh, I have a week and a half. Oh no, there's only like a week left. And then that weekend before, I was riddled with anxiety. And there were so many
mhm,
moments like that that I
yeah.
lost to jobs, like careers, and that I just would never do again. But at the same time, seeing a therapist completely changed my outlook on so many things. But just going back to it, yeah, like I was spending not only all the hours there, I was bringing that home and not sleeping, staring up at the ceiling like at night, just miserable.
Yeah, it
It was
affects everything.
it was consuming my entire life.
Yeah, yeah. You're
Yeah.
the unhappiness that a bad job, a job that you're unhappy with, can bring into your life is it's gonna seep into
Yeah.
everything.
One thing about what we do that has always been a challenge, and I want to ask you about this just because we're on the topic. When you're unhappy at work, it can't get to you. You and I could never go into a place and just like hide. I was always on the air and I had to seemingly be happy, like even though my insides were killing me. And then for you, you're in front of the camera, so you have to like let all that stuff kind of fall by
Yeah,
the wayside. So how did you handle situations like that?
I was a great actress.
No, right? Well, there you go. Yes.
I mean,
That's why you do what you
yeah.
do, right?
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, you just have to do it, you know? I mean, especially when it was a live show. Oh my
Yeah.
god. And you had to like be like hair, makeup ready, like not just like every, you know? And yeah, that was really hard. Like no matter what was happening in your life, right? You just had to check leave it at the door and be like, I'll be back in an hour,
Mm.
and just go do your job. And then when the show was over, when you were done hosting, then you can go, whether it was being pre-taped or if it was a live show,
Yeah.
whatever's happening, you have to put it on pause and then go back to it. And yeah, it was really hard, but you get good at it at time.
Yeah, but then what happens is you put it on pause and then you go home with it.
Yeah.
So, like, I was always good at coming home and like talking about like everything, but I know for my wife, it definitely got old at times. And that's why at times she was like, you have to quit this job. You cannot keep doing this to yourself.
Yeah. Damn, I think Joanne was supportive longer than I would have been
Yeah.
because
Really?
because if you were coming home often for a year straight, like just like bitching and moaning about the job, I would have just been like, Santi, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? Like, what are we doing here? It's actually that's one of my biggest like frustrations with things is like with Matt or anyone is
Uh-huh.
like, and I don't want to say, I'm sure I'm guilty of it sometimes, but I'm very conscious of it. I try not to complain about things that I'm not going to do anything about. And I know,
Okay.
and I'm not saying that you are doing that. I'm not like,
No, I was doing it. I was doing that. I would complain and I would say I'm leaving, even though in my soul I know I wasn't gonna leave.
oh
I'm not gonna sign the
no.
contract, but I knew I was gonna sign the contract. Yeah. So what you're saying, yes, you're talking to me.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
This is why I got into a fight with Matt on the phone the other day. He's been in LA, by the way, this this whole week. And yeah, and when he called me that day, it just like because I'm like, this is great. This is great, but when are you gonna say, here's what I'm gonna do about it? It's good to vent. It's good to be there for and be supportive. I will always be that
Hmm.
for everyone, but I want you to have a plan too. Have a plan of action. Like this is our life, and we're not here forever. Like we need to stop wasting so much friggin' time being
Yeah.
scared. And I know that that's hard. I know it takes bravery. I have been there. I learned that lesson tenfolds, and again, maybe it's my perimenopause brain and heart, but I'm just like, I have such a short fuse for it, I'm at this point.
I had a plan, but I
Y-
wasn't serious about the plan, so that was my problem.
you weren't ready to
No, but once
rip.
I got serious about the plan and once I really said I'm gonna jump
Yeah.
off the cliff and take the leap, it became a different thing. But I
Yeah.
needed the tough love. I needed
You need to look.
conversations like you had with Matt for me to kind of, take action. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because I also I know that about my personality, and obviously I'm the most comfortable in my life with Matt.
Mm.
And so Matt gets the brunt of that um tough love more often than anyone else in my life. Um and and I feel bad, I mean, after I got off the phone with him, I was like, "Oh my god." I'm like, "Yep, that was you had a moment, Susie, like you have to apologize," And I'm glad that I did see that and felt like I had to apologize right away. Um could you get work? I mean, it worked,
Yeah, yeah.
but it worked, but I also felt really bad, and it's just such a fine line. But I will say, and you touched on this earlier in our conversation, how you feel good about yourself when you catch yourself and you whether it's apologizing right
Yeah.
away, right? Or faster than you would have when you were a stubborn young person, younger person, I
Yep.
should say. You're still
Yeah.
young. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just these are all like things that we learn along the way. And we're not perfect. We're never
No.
going to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. But when it comes from a place of love and you're humble, you can apologize for being a bitch.
So let me ask you, since we're on the topic, would you consider that your low for the week?
Oh no, I have another low.
Huh, another one? Then let's go.
It's time. It's time for
Yes.
our low highs, not high lows.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first? Okay, I'll go
Sure,
first.
since we're here,
Should I?
yeah. Yeah. I can't wait to hear it.
On the topic of being a bitch, wait, so that Matt was just in LA, but we both of us were this is how demanding this new job for him. Like we were just there together for like almost a month because he was working on these projects with these people. And then he was back in Massachusetts for a week and had to fly back this
Mhm.
past week. But when we were there for a month, um, friends of ours, we were staying at an Airbnb, and I was, because Matt was gone all day. My friend Patricia was like, don't be crazy, don't be silly, stay in our house. Like they have this beautiful house. And we stayed with them. And in front of my friend, I got into a fight with Matt. Like it was
Oh.
we were all talking about politics and things got heated and and it was just the three of us. It was late night. I was probably really tired and you know what too? I It was crazy, Santi. Like I became a crazy person, but here's what happened. So the we were only supposed to be there for like 2 weeks. And I mentioned before that I am going through perimenopause and I am on hormone replacement therapy. I take progesterone, which helps me with mood swings and like brain fog specifically. And I brought enough of my progesterone pills to last me the 2 weeks we were supposed to be there. 2 weeks and like a few more days. I ran out of the pills because our trip was extended.
Hmm.
And it took my friend Patricia being like, Suze, like because I started crying. It was like a raging. I was a crazy person, and it was like a switch that went off. And I was like, oh, and Matt called me rude. I was like, oh, I'm rude. Okay. So I like got up and went upstairs, and I was crying like in a rage. And you would have thought that there was a death in the family or something. Like that's how emotional I was.
Uh,
And my friend came up to my room to like our room to like check on me. And she was like, are you taking your pills just by, you know what I mean? Like just out of curiosity, because she's going through perimenopause too. And we're always talking about our symptoms and what hormone replacement therapy pill can help us.
mhm.
And so anyway, long story short, in the middle of my raging, my tears, I was like, oh my God, I haven't taken my progesterone pills in like almost 2 weeks. And she was like, why didn't you get more? And I'm like, I didn't think it would affect me like this. This is crazy. Like, so I opened up my patient like app
Mhm.
with my sent a message to my doctor. And I was like, I've been out of the progesterone pills for this long. Can you please like do it? I need an emergency, like 7-day supply. I'm gonna be back in Massachusetts, back home, and I'll have, the rest of my stash. But like it was insane. Like I was an insane person. So that was my low.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
That
Wow.
that was my low, and it was yeah. That was
Uh,
I can't. Oh my god. Um, my high. I mean, I think my high this week was being a cheerleader for my
um,
husband. And kind of just being the person that I've always wanted to be as a wife for him,
oh,
and like helping him going through, this moment in his career. And it's a pretty career change for him. And, understandably he's scared, he's anxious about it.
mm,
He's he's wondering how he's going to balance everything until, he can start the full-time job. And so, he's just under a lot of pressure. So I'm happy that I was able to kind of walk walk him through that, like just
mhm.
be there
Yeah.
for him. And even though I wasn't physically there for him, but just help him get through his thoughts and his feelings, and helping him negotiate,
Nah.
his a lot about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my high. That was my
Uh,
high, my win for the week.
Well, that's a good win, and that low was really funny though. I mean, I would have given anything to be there for that fight, especially what's your friend's name? Patricia?
Patricia. Oh,
Patricia, man, front row seat to that. That sounds like classic.
oh.
My low for the week is I feel like a lot of wives will connect with this one. And I don't know why I'm just putting on the wives, like partners. We have a laundry room and we have a family of six. I have four kids, so there's six of us in this house. So you got to imagine the laundry pile that comes out of some of these rooms sometimes is absolutely crazy. The laundry pile that's up there right now is embarrassingly big. If anybody were to come over, they would be like, "Oh, like you're a hoarder," but just in this room because it's that big. But my low is because I walk by that room probably 27 times a day and I don't go in there and help out. I don't go in there and throwing a load. I don't go in there and fold anything. So that is my low. And I need to make it more of a point. And I have been saying this for years. I need to help out around the house a lot more. And I need to start with the laundry because my wife did tell me this week that the laundry is overwhelming her, that it's too much, that it's crazy. And you can see it just by based off that laundry room. So that's my low.
Yep.
My high, and hopefully it can tie into the laundry, is that I am more present around the house and I'm noticing a lot of things that are just happening that I never noticed before. And I feel like I'm more in the moment with my family in such a positive way. And this is a space that I never want to leave from again. So that is my high for the week that I'm just realizing all these things,
I love that.
except for the laundry. But
Except
I'm
for the
realizing
laundry.
it. I just need to go in there and fix it. So yeah,
Yeah.
no.
I love that, Santi. And I loved, by the way, your video. You posted a video on Instagram of how your mornings are slower. And it was so
Oh yeah.
sweet. Your son was like eating his cereal and you were just sitting there having your morning coffee. And I was so happy for you that you have that
Yeah.
moment, and you are able to be more present with your family after so long of not having that. And now, you'll get there. I mean, you'll get there. And before, I feel like, okay, here's my prediction for you. I feel like in 6 months, you're going to be doing so much laundry.
Oh
Because you're going to be around it, right? You're home now.
yeah.
You're noticing things that you didn't ever noticed because you came home to do more work and you're exhausted, and Joanne's
Yeah.
exhausted. So I can only imagine.
Do you think that I'm going to be doing more laundry or so much? Because like I can handle more. I don't know about the so much though. That's a lot. Like there's a lot of clothes up there.
Listen, I think this is a great learning opportunity for the kids. Like, let's teach them to do laundry.
That was a conversation we just had. Like they need to now be accountable for their own because for us it's too much.
Yes. Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're old. I think they're old enough, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
Especially the teenager.
Yes.
He's 16, right?
There's three teenagers.
Oh,
So
there's oh, that's right. The girls. The girls are
yeah.
teens too.
So
Oh,
yeah, they're very very capable.
yes, they
Yeah.
are. Oh man, it's laundry time, kids.
Yep.
It's laundry time. Well, listen, this was a great conversation. Per usual.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Obviously, we want to thank everybody for listening and for those watching. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. Make sure you like and follow. Leave us a comment. We don't. Do we have review? I have to check, but leave us reviews. I wanted to just
Yes.
ask that of everyone. Yeah, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.